All right, I think we are live, and I don't know if anyone's here. So if anyone, I'm just going to say hello in the chat and take the sound off the YouTube video. Everybody. I don't know if anyone's here, to be honest. I never know. Nicolas Cage is here. All right, Nicolas Cage and Newt are here. All right, so two of you are here. I want to hear first from you guys before anyone else gets myself start rambling about things you did like, things you didn't like, anything specific that you might want to talk about in this video that you might want to get out there. And Bruno is here as well. I think this okay. Anything you want to talk about, anything that you are not seeing other people talking about that just rubbed you the wrong or the right way. And again, hello, Bruno. I know what I'm going to tackle first here on my end, but I first want to hear from you guys what you thought in general or about anything in particular about this film, be it the post-credit scene, the last post-credit scene, which I think is pretty okay. But yeah, first I want to hear from you guys. Let's give like 5 minutes for people to get here. Hopefully we'll get more people. You see, I never know. It says 4 people are watching, and I know 3 people are in the chat. So is the 4th one me because I'm watching it as well on the player to see if everything is all right? Because I don't know. To this day, I don't know how to work with these lives. Okay, what do you think about how Fury lost his eyes? I thought it was hilariously surprising, but also kind of betrays the moment in Winter Soldier. I have a lot of things to say about that because I think it actually doesn't betray it. I think it goes very well. And Ryan O'Toole is here and James Starbuck is here. Hello, guys. Thanks for being here. As I was saying, I think it goes really well with the character of Nick Fury. And okay, so let me address the cat scratching his eye out. I watched the film with 4 friends, and one of them got I don't know how the other ones felt about it, so I don't know if the others agree with me, but one of my friends really was annoyed by how Fury lost his eyes. He thought it was stupid because he got scratched by a cat. Number one, he's not a cat, he's a Flerken. What is a Flerken, you ask? Well, a Flerken is a very violent and powerful, strong alien being that hosts entire pocket universes inside it. He can eat human beings just like that, as we saw in the film. So I was really not annoyed by the cat Goose, which again is not a cat. Hello, Sam. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. As I was saying, it's not a cat. It's much stronger than a cat. It's an alien. And for the Nick Fury character, I think it goes very well with the Nick Fury character because he's the type of guy who lies. He's the type of guy who bends the truth to be very motivational. Remember what he did with Coulson's cards in the Avengers to motivate them after Coulson died? Then Maria Hill turns to him and says, those cards weren't in his pocket. But Nick Fury went and rubbed them with his blood and then motivated the Avengers by it. So the story he's telling other people, he's not going to tell other people, oh, I got scratched by a cat. He's exactly the type of person who would say, I trusted someone, and he trusted the cat to be close up to his face, and that's why I don't trust cats. But again, it's not a cat, and I think it actually goes with the character Nick Fury. I'll say this. I have to watch the film again. Maybe they played it as some sort of comedy, because even Fury was like, oh no, this scratch is nothing, I'll get over it. And then a few scenes later, it's really, really bad. But again, it's not a cat, it's a very strong alien being that hosts entire populations inside it. And the character Nick Fury would very much lie about that. So again, I have to see if the scene itself plays it for laughs. And in that way, it probably doesn't work as well. But I'll have to see, because if they play it serious, I think it's cool. If they play it for comedy, for all intents and purposes, let's say it was a cat scratching his eye, that's not funny. I wouldn't want a cat scratching my eye out. All right, and Nicolas Cage says, top 3 movies of 2019 so far. Mine and Soderbergh's High Flying Bird. I don't even know what that is, to be honest. How to Train Your Dragon 3, that's my number 1. And Chiwetel Ejiofor's, oh, I didn't know Chiwetel Ejiofor was in The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. I know that's a Netflix movie. I literally don't know anything about it, but I'll have to check it out. Let me see. What have I reviewed so far? I haven't reviewed many movies because, unfortunately, England is not the best friend when it comes to release dates on time with the rest of the world. My number 1 is certainly How to Train Your Dragon 3. That's for sure. I'll have to say Fighting with My Family is number 2. And I probably like Dragon Ball Super Broly more than Captain Marvel. But if Dragon Ball Super Broly is a 2018 movie, then maybe I'll say Captain Marvel is number 3. But we're still very much through the beginning of the year, so it's still early. But yeah, I would say those are my number 3 and maybe 4 if you count Dragon Ball Super Broly as 2018 movie. Do you think the movie is an indicator of the direction Marvel is taking? I feel it's getting worse, as in less clever and original, as opposed to the original material. I think they're ready to take chances and have more movies set in space and out there instead of on Earth. I actually like the way they told an origin story in this film because it felt reversed. It felt like this person was already a hero and now it's fighting their humanity. And the best Marvel films, the best origin stories at least, it's about a real human building himself or herself, I mean, let's face it, himself only so far, up, and then becoming a hero because of who they are as a human. So I don't know. What I think it says is that they're going very out there in the next few years with the Eternals, with Guardians of the Galaxy changing directions, and maybe teams. So then we'll have a kind of soft reboot of Guardians of the Galaxy. And I like what they do with the whole Kree and Skrull mythology because, okay, the Skrulls are all bad guys in the comics, but the Kree are also assholes. What they did in this film was say that Krees are totally assholes, and the little parts of what we saw of the Skrull population are refugees. But as we see, even in the real world, refugees can rebel and have enough of something that they go ballistic. So maybe they can still turn other Skrulls bad in the future. I like that we're probably going to see the 24-year span that Captain Marvel spent in space. I like that we're probably going to see Ronan again, because I think Ronan is pretty underrated as a villain. I don't think he's great or anything. I think in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, he's a good villain. Pretty solid. Served the movie exactly as he needed to. Doesn't really stand out, I won't say that. And in this movie, he was just there to say hi. He has 2 scenes, and in one of the scenes is just an holographic image of him. So he really wasn't there doing anything. It was just Lee Pace doing some voiceover for 10 minutes in a sound booth. So I hope to see a relationship there, because I understood Ronan's plight in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. So I want to see this version of Ronan in Captain Marvel transforming into that we saw in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. I also hope to see a lot of Yon-Rogg as well, because I thought the character itself, played by Jude Law played him brilliantly, but the character himself was very misused. And what was when we find out the twist that he is a bad guy. I like that Jude Law played him, and the script demanded it for him to play it the way. It's not like he's a really good guy, and then the twist comes, and his personality completely changes, as he's in a completely different persona. He still was the same person, almost like he didn't want to be doing this. He was like, oh, screw it. Now Carol knows the truth. I unfortunately have to do this. Much like Ronan, he has a line where he expresses that he was doing this for the betterment of his people. I understand that plight, but we didn't really see that plight beyond that one line of his. So I hope to explore that more in the future film. So I won't say they're getting worse. I don't think Captain Marvel is the best film they have. I don't think it has the best storytelling out of the MCU. I think it's a solid film. It's almost great. It has a few issues. I'll address them in the meanwhile. but I don't think they're getting worse. I certainly don't think Captain Marvel is the worst Marvel film. We still have Iron Man 2. And I do think, as much as I like the film, Incredible Hulk is a bit weaker than Captain Marvel when it comes to storytelling. I think this film was maybe damaging itself by worrying a lot about expanding the possibilities for the future, but it still told a solid story onto its own. Okay, Newt asks, I mean, technically the moment is true within what is said in Winter Soldier. It's anticlimactic compared to the one I would expect, but still cool. Yeah, I'll agree it's maybe anticlimactic, but honestly, I myself watching the film wasn't even thinking about, oh, Fury's going to lose his eye here. For all I know, Fury lost his eye in 2007 before Tony Stark became Iron Man. So I really wasn't thinking about, will he lose his eye in this film, and who will do it, you know? So yeah, it's probably a management of expectations that goes into how anticlimactic or how funny or how well it works. Nicolas Cage says, I absolutely see your point with Fury's eye, but why I think it's betraying is because every time I watch Winter Soldier, I think of a one-off joke instead of a defining character moment. Still very funny. I understand their point of view completely. But again, would we want for Fury to be defined by when he lost his eye? Because I think Samuel L. Jackson played very well a younger version and not so experienced, not so distrusting version of Captain Marvel, of Nick Fury. But I don't think he should be defined by how he loses his eye. I think it's something that goes into molding this Captain Marvel version of Nick Fury into the super layers of lying spy that we know in the other films. Again, I think it goes into the character, but I don't think it should define him. James Starbucks says, Star Wars has people losing arms and heads, the MCU has people losing arms. You know what? I read an updated version of the article that had all the limbs that had been lost since Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I was constantly looking into this film and seeing if someone lost an arm. I don't remember. Did anyone lose an arm? Maybe one of those Skrulls at the beginning when they're infiltrating that little planet Torfa or Tofar. I don't remember what it was. Maybe someone lost an arm there, but I don't remember. I really need to see the film again. I'm going to see it on Tuesday, I think. I didn't have a chance to watch it again this weekend, unfortunately. Thought the action filmmaking was very bland, but the train double chase and the old lady was great action sequences. I agree. There are action sequences that I like. Not that they were mind-blowing. They were good. Well shot, well choreographed. Just nothing that will revolutionize action filmmaking, but good. I could see everything. I could understand everything. But there were others that were just quick cuts, and you didn't understand everything. All of them were close-ups. I don't remember what the scene exactly was, but there was one action scene where they were shooting, I think, Carol's thigh because she was kneeing someone in the gut or in the face. It was just very poorly edited sometimes. And then there were other scenes where the lighting was very minimal, and I wasn't watching it in 3D. I wasn't watching it in IMAX, so I didn't have any glasses. I didn't have any filter on my eyes. So I would wish to see the movie clearly, and I just couldn't sometimes. Okay, Nicolas Cage says, I'm a little scared that Carol's role in Endgame will be just a deus ex machina whose only purpose is to punch Thanos. It would be so predictable. Your thoughts? I would fear that as well, but since we saw her arriving, I would fear the deus ex machina element if half of the plot of Endgame was trying to find out who that pager is beeping to, and she would only come in like midway through the movie, or I don't know, at the end of the first act. If they were using her as a plot device in that film, I would fear that. Clearly they're not. but I expect the post-credit scene when Carol arrives and asks, "Where's Fury?" to be a scene in the film, much like the post-credit scene in Ant-Man was a scene in Civil War with Bucky trapped on the device that I don't know what it's called. But I don't think she'll be a Deus Ex Machina. In fact, I don't think they will be blah, blah, blah. What word am I looking for? I don't think they will be just looking forward to Captain Marvel herself defeating Thanos. I mean, anything is possible, and I will be just as disappointed as you. I just don't expect that to happen. Something tells me that's not what's going to happen. I think Endgame is going to be very different than anyone expects because it just doesn't feel right that that's the direction they're going in. They're hiding this film so much. They're hiding this film so much from the general audience. I mean, that first trailer, whatever you think about it, good or bad, was for the nerds, was for us. And the Super Bowl spot, which I was weak and I watched it, I didn't resist, was also for the nerds. It showed the drama of it instead of the superheroing of it all, which is what the general audiences are looking forward to watch. Again, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's possible, and I'll be just as disappointed as any of you. Okay, Yon-Rogg is possibly my favorite name in any movie. It's a pretty cool name, I gotta say, and Yon-Rogg is a pretty good villain in the comics, which is why I hope to see him again in the film. Not only because he's a pretty good villain in the comics, but also Jude freaking Law. He's so underrated, and I've wanted to see him in the MCU playing a superhero, actually. But I just wanted to see this guy used, and he wasn't very used in the film, unfortunately. Lil Baby says, "Bro, Captain Marvel was whack." Sorry you feel that way, man, but again, it's a beautiful thing about film. You can feel the way you feel. I have to disagree. The film worked for me, but you're not wrong or right to disagree with me. Your opinion is just as valid as mine. Nicolas Cage says, "Don't think they should have showed Fury lost his eye at all." I could have taken it either way. Again, the scene didn't rub me the wrong way. It worked, but if I didn't see him lose his eye, I'd be perfectly fine with it, if you ask me. It just didn't care, actually, to see it. Was not expecting it at all. Lil Baby says, "Bro, the MCU is ruined after this film." Don't say that. It's one movie. It's one movie, and it's not even a big event movie. If this was Infinity War, I could understand that sentiment. If this was one of the Avengers movies, one of the big ones, which all of them built to, I could understand that sentiment. I don't think it's ruined, but again, if you feel that way, man, I'm really sorry. Ronan was so forced. I like the idea of Ronan. I don't think the idea of having Ronan in this film is forced at all. He should be there as a pretty big part of the elite force of the Kree Empire, or of the Kree species, whatever you want to call it. I think he was very misused, especially because they make such a big announcement about Lee Pace coming back for the role. And do you imagine the hours that dude had to spend in makeup to be in 2 minutes on screen? It doesn't feel right. I guess story comes first, characters come second. You don't cast anyone specifically for a role. You do what's best for the story. I understand that maybe having Ronan in such small scenes was best for the story. But if you're going to use Ronan, why not use him as part of the Yon-Rogg's team? Why not have Ronan there before he was an accuser instead of having Korath? Because it's cool, I love Djimon Hounsou, but Korath really isn't doing anything there. And Ronan certainly made more of an impact than Korath in Guardians of the Galaxy. So use Ronan there, maybe. Or maybe have Ronan be the one that goes after Carol first, after Veers, as they call her, and then have her team trying to get to her first, because Ronan doesn't actually know that she is the energy that they are looking for. That would be a much better use of Ronan. Again, I don't think force is the right word, but I certainly don't think he was used right in this film. It's certainly one of the weaknesses of the film for me. Nicolas Cage says, as for my overall thoughts, disappointingly bland. The only thing resembling a theme is Carol learning to embrace her emotions, about a woman coming into her own by rejecting her Thank you. Continue. Toxic influence, male superior. The movie instead starts with her with superpowers. She has to adapt to her humanity, which I think is amazingly origin reverse. I'm sorry, guys, but Nicolas Cage's continue. I just want to finish this question. But it's executed wrongly. She never has any hints at emotional outbursts. And the third act is just about her punching shit really hard. She never learns any moral lessons or make any tough decisions. And that's over. I mean, I disagree, man. I don't think she needs to have emotional outbursts. I think most of the emotion she gets is regret because of everything that is falling on her, because of the memories coming back and the mistakes she's made, the happens to me male superior influence, which I don't think they played it for male female at all in this film. At least I didn't get that way. My friend who I watched the film with did. I think she learns, and they are very subtle about it. She doesn't outburst of anything. I don't think she did. I mean, her metaphorical emotional outburst is when she breaks away from not Yon-Rogg, the Blob. It's not a blob in the film, it's a blob in the comics. The Supreme Intelligence, which I actually really like what they did with the Supreme Intelligence's look in the film. And she doesn't learn a moral lesson, that's true. But did she need to? Because if she learned a moral lesson, it would go against already being a hero in the galaxy. So the moral lesson, I would say, is for the hero part of her character. So she was already noble. So learning again to be human, it's an entirely different thing. Which again, I don't think she needed. I certainly don't think she's far from being the best character of the year, of the MCU, the most positive role model ever. Don't really think that. I think she's a good character. I think she has way more to evolve, and I think the Russos will do a great job with her. I think no matter what I think about Captain Marvel in this film, or what do you think, whether I like her or not, whether you like her or not in this film, I think the Russos are going to kill it with her character. I don't want to lose anything. Okay. Bro, no one ever even stood a chance against Captain Marvel. Hella boring. No one ever stood a chance against her on the last act. Maybe on that I'll agree. In the rest of the film, she was pretty restrained. That's the word, restrained. She had even the electric thing that kind of reminded me of the thing that Thor had in Thor Ragnarok. So I wonder if they're the same device to restrain powers on somebody, which would be weird if they are, because Thor Ragnarok takes place in recent days, I think, unless time moves differently in our galaxy and in the Sakaar galaxy. But it was a weird connection that I thought that I saw there. Where am I? Okay. Newt says, I like to see this movie as one that helps Endgame on things coming full circle. It ties loose ends, and with the explanation to Nick Fury's lost eye and the Avengers Initiative. Let's talk about that. The Avengers Initiative thing. Not for me. It reminded me a lot of Solo. Reminded me a lot of the moment where they give Han Solo his name, which I don't think it's as bad. I think the moment where they give Solo his name in Solo: A Star Wars Story is absolutely atrocious. It's absolutely horrible. It wasn't necessary in the least. You didn't need to explain why Han Solo is called Han Solo. Just have him be called Han Solo. Luke Skywalker is a weirder name than a Han Solo. You don't need to name Luke Skywalker, so don't name Han Solo. I went off on a Solo tangent there. I'm really sorry. Okay, so let's say the idea itself that Fury would see the first superhero ever with magnificent powers, and her nickname was Avenger. Oh, what if I create this initiative and I call it the Avenger Initiative because she's the first hero ever? I can see that logic in someone's head. So I think the idea of what the writers thought, hey, what if Nick Fury sees this and blah, blah, blah. I can see the idea. The idea is good. The execution just didn't work for me. That scene of him suddenly looking at a picture and he just sees that now where he looked at the picture pretty clearly throughout the film, and then just types in, and they don't even show us what it is. Like, hey, can you guess what it is? It was rubbing it on the nose too much. The solo naming thing, but it had a lot of the same vibes, unfortunately. Bruno Ferreira says, please discuss the SJW bias of the movie and its further influence in the next MCU films. It felt there was a sexist agenda throughout the entire film. Oh, I didn't feel that at all. I was looking for it. And I don't care to talk about agendas unless they're so blatantly in your face. I don't care about agendas. I care about a good film. I don't care if it's a man or a woman. I don't care about race. I care about a good film, a good story with good storytelling, with good characters. And this film, for the most part, worked for me. It has flaws like 99% of films. Again, I just care to see a good film, and I don't care about agendas. Why were people downvoting Captain Marvel in the bullshit site that is Rotten Tomatoes? Because it's a woman, the first woman to headline an MCU film after 21 films with guys. Whatever, just sell this film as a film. And Captain Marvel, let me tell you, it's not as good as Wonder Woman, but it was much better in playing it cool. Unlike Wonder Woman, who in the last act just goes off on a tangent while she's killing Ares, talking about how powerful love is and how love will save us all. That was bullshit. And I think Wonder Woman is a better film overall. But if you want to talk about agendas and being aggressively feminist or again, don't care about agendas, but if you want to compare the two films, Wonder Woman goes much more aggressively into it. Okay, why is this putting Nicolas Cage on spam? Because he swore? Come on, YouTube. Sorry, guys. Okay, Nicolas Cage says, I guess. I wish it would have gone a little weird, a little more 90s goof and oddness than I felt Marvel suppressed from Bowden and Fleck. Felt too safe, too predictable. First major misstep in my opinion. I agree that in many ways it was a little too safe. It felt, I guess this is not the right word, but I can't remember any other. It felt a little bit too streamlined for what it was. Not the story or the storytelling. Of course, you need streamline to tell a story cohesively. I meant more weird visuals. Almost visually, it left me wanting for more of a Ragnarok vibe. Not that I wanted this film to be a comedy, because I actually like how they explored what they explored in this film and didn't go the comedy vibe like Guardians of the Galaxy, which I was afraid of. But visually, there was more of a oomph, like in Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is one of the weaker MCU films for me, and I know I'm in the minority on that. But visually, that movie pops. Colors, structures, how they were designed and everything, it just pops. Captain Marvel just didn't. We see a few quick shots actually, of Hala in the beginning, and it looks really cool. I mean, I will live there, you know, just by looking at it, but it doesn't really have that oomph, it doesn't look very unique. It's a world that looks cool, but I have seen that kind of world before, whereas in Thor Ragnarok, I had never seen anything like that. So, again, it left me wanting on the visual aspect. I wanted it to be a little weirder, a little bit more 90s. Goof is not the word for me. Oddness is. I wish there was a little bit more oddness. Even the aliens that were surrounding Carol and Yon-Rogg in the beginning when they're going into their first meeting, I guess, with the Supreme Intelligence, the aliens that were surrounding them, gotta tell you, I'm thinking about the scene now. I remember what they were talking about, but I don't remember any alien around them. They just didn't pop out. And I understand the Kree are not the most creative looking aliens. They're either blue or they look human and they just have weird irises in their eyes, like Jude Law had pretty cool irises, I'd say. But yeah, I wish more weird aliens were on there. But let's hope in Captain Marvel 2 on that 24-year span we see more of that. Because again, it's it's the good thing about films when you have a sequel, you can learn from the mistakes of the first one, which is even more true on television shows. Brian Beebe says, it was better than Black Panther in my honest opinion, but that's not saying much. The buddy cop aspect of Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, Sam Jackson's CGI making him look younger was great though. That was great. I still haven't gotten to my best aspect of this film, but the relationship between Fury and Captain Marvel, that was really, really great. And it felt like a very, so 99% of buddy cop films, I think it's fair to say, are comedies. And their relationship, I didn't feel it played much for they had their comedic moments, they had their jabs at each other, and the film certainly has really good humor throughout. But it was played with a lot of heart, how they grew fond of each other and trusting into each other. It played more on that element of trust and getting to know each other, especially because the story is about Carol getting to know or remember, I guess, herself. So that was a really strong point of the film. I agree. I haven't gotten to my strong point, to my strongest point of the film, but I want to see if any of you guys mention it so I can get into it. Bruno Ferreira says the soundtrack was too plain and predictable. It felt like it didn't belong on most scenes. The soundtrack didn't pop either way for me. I really don't care about soundtracks. What I really like are the scores. And the score for Captain Marvel really surprised me. Again, don't think it's great. I don't think it deserves a nomination for best score or anything. It's not on my top 5 or maybe even top 10 MCU scores, but a really good score, especially the Captain Marvel theme, which if you get the score is the first track. Really good score, and the emotional bits of the score are in the most dramatic scenes of the film. That was really good. Maybe you mean score, and I'm not understanding, but soundtrack usually are songs that exist and they put into the film. There were a few songs one song that I didn't think worked. It didn't like completely ruin the scene, but I didn't really understand why it was there. Was "Come As You Are" by Nirvana. I didn't think a song like that fit with the scene where she was meeting the Supreme Intelligence before going Super Saiyan, which I loved as a fan of Dragon Ball. I'm sorry. But songs in this film didn't really pop out for me either way. Because again, I really don't care about soundtracks in films. I'm really a score junkie. Nicolas Cage says, didn't even once realize Fury was CGI until my friend told me after the film. We live in the future. That is very true. Marvel is doing a kick-ass job with making these actors look younger. There is one, and I can't remember what it was specifically. It was one of the first ones they tried. Didn't look very good. I remember the Tony Stark one in Civil War at the beginning didn't work, but it was also a simulation, so it kind of worked for me that it looked a little odd, a little not real. So it was a simulation within the film. It worked for me that he looked kind of funky. I guess that's the word I'll use. But they are really kicking ass with making these actors look younger. Though Coulson looked pretty shit. I didn't notice anything. I don't think the CGI on Coulson looked shit. I think his toupee, that's what we'll call it, I guess. I think his toupee looked not the best. The CGI though, it was pretty good, to me at least. And I wish there was a lot more Coulson. A lot more Coulson, man. Again, it's the same problem I have with Lee Pace being Ronan. Like, they make this huge announcement, they're coming back, and then we're excited, and they feed us more stuff like to be excited for. And then he was in 3 scenes. One pretty cool scene when he lets Nick Fury go, so it starts that trust that we've seen so far in the films and in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. When Nick Fury shows up in one episode, they got Samuel L. Jackson on TV for that, so that's pretty awesome. But really wanted a whole lot more Coulson. I'm very fucking glad and very fucking jealous you liked it so much. Again, man, I liked it. I really liked it. And the things I liked are growing on me the more I think about it. But the things I didn't like are also getting worse the more I think about it. It's my number 12 overall in the MCU. So I don't think it cracks the top 10. I think really, really fun movie, really solid. It's one of those, the positives outweigh the negatives. There are things on one side, there certainly are things on the negative, but overall it worked for me. Solid film. Where am I? I agree about Coulson, but it was good to see him back in an MCU movie. That was true. That was very satisfying. But it's probably the last one we've seen him in, because now, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is getting so confusing, but I guess he's dead in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, why? I'm going to give the show a chance on season 6, but if Coulson is to be out, I'm dropping Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I love Chloe Bennett, I love Skye, Daisy, whatever you want to call it, but I'm seriously dropping that show if Coulson is out. Nicholas Lee compensated by Ben Mendelsohn, but severely missing from much of it. And we've got to my favorite part of the film, which was Ben Mendelsohn. The twist with the Skrulls, loved it. Think that it works in the context of the story. It was just great. And Ben Mendelsohn, everything. I think Talos is the best character in the film overall, even better than Carol. I think Carol was good. I think she was great. Again, I don't think she's the best hero in the MCU or anything other than that. Talos was a great character, the only great character in the film, and Ben Mendelsohn kills it in every scene. I love this recurring joke in the film, which was the thing that made me laugh the most in the film, I think. Which is basically he's walking around with this other Skrull who at one point disguises himself, I think himself, as Maria Rambeau, and then he's this science guy, and then whenever Talos asks him something, he's like, and it's just weird how much forward he extends his arms, but it's a really fun relationship. And again, Ben Mendelsohn, wow, just the dude. It surprised me the directions they went into with the character and with the whole Skrull mythology, but it surprised me even more how well it worked, and the dude was on point throughout the entire film. Again, much like when Jude Law is revealed to be evil, he doesn't completely change his character. When Ben Mendelsohn turns, he's still the same guy throughout the film. Like, the first hint that I had at Mendelsohn being a good character in terms of writing, in terms of being complex, three-dimensional, was the scene where he's in the autopsy room and he kneels down and puts his head next to the already dead Skrull on the table. Is it table that we call it in English? I don't know. That was my first hint at, wow, this guy is something more than just, I want to conquer the world and be evil, because at that point I still thought he was evil. But that was the first hint at his complexity in the film. And again, I think his character steals the film. I think Ben Mendelsohn, in terms of acting, steals the scene. The movie. I'm sorry. Oh shit! Again, I'm so sorry. This did a jump. I didn't. Okay, hang on. Okay, we got Ryan O'Toole. I want more of Denver's friends and daughter, the Rambeaus. That was also a strong relationship in the film, and the fact that we had so little time with establishing it, developing it, and concluding that relationship of Rambeau and Danvers speaks to how strong it was, and their chemistry was on point. And I really liked that. There's a scene when Carol is changing the colors of her outfit because she doesn't want to be associated with the Kree Space Force anymore, and she goes through these several different colors. And I'm a wrestling fan, so I usually pay a lot of attention into colors and color schemes and attires and how they look on people. And one of my friends, who I was watching the film with, is also a big wrestling fan. And so as Carol was twisting the colors around, she had red and gold, and me and my friend were like, yes. And then she turns into black and gold, and we were like, yes. And then she turns into white suit with green patches around, and I was like, the original suit from Mar-Vell from the Ultimate Universe, which is very much kind of the color schemes that Monica Rambeau, Maria's daughter, uses when she becomes Captain Marvel herself in the comics. She also uses the nicknames. She has two nicknames. One of them is Photon, which is the nickname of Maria on her jet. And the other one I can't remember. I'm sorry. I went on a very big nerd tangent. Now I'm really blank. But again. Sorry. Nicolas Cage says, the thing about the man-woman thing, Miss Marvel has been written in a very sexist way in her early comics, starting off as Mar-Vell's, who's more Jude Law here, weak girlfriend. I believe you, because I mentioned this in my review, but the Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel, the Carol Danvers character herself, I don't know much about. I never got into the character in the comics, which alongside with okay trailers, or at least okay trailer, the first one, which was the only one I saw, didn't really have me hyped for the film. I know a lot about the Skrulls, the Kree Skrull War, the mythology of space and everything, but I don't really know more about the character herself. So I believe you what you are saying here, man. Oh, okay, hang on. Kind of progressive meta commentary on our comic past. Again, I really don't know. I really don't know. I'm a fan of Mar-Vell, but not the Carol Danvers interpretation, and I just can't wait for people to call me sexist because of this. But again, don't know. Never got into the character that much in the comics, and I still haven't read Civil War 2, so shh, no spoilers. Nicolas Cage says, "What are your wishes, predictions for Phase 4?" I don't have any wishes. I actually stopped wishing for things in films or in the MCU a long time ago. Predictions I have. Wishes, I just want to see good, if not great, if not excellent films, which they've given me a lot of those throughout the years. Good, great, excellent. Predictions, what percentage do I want to say? 70. Let's go 60. I think 60, at over 60%, that will get Fantastic Four for sure. We'll get more space stuff in general, and I think the fact that the Kree are bad guys just gives them the opportunity to twist things around and have a not so secret invasion where the Kree come to Earth, and that's finally one of the big movies that we'll get in the future. Avengers 5, or however they want to call it, and the Kree will be probably big elements of that, because they're also not unfamiliar with the Fantastic Four, and I really expect us to see Fantastic Four. I actually have a really great pitch for Fantastic Four, which I don't want to brag about, so I'll leave that for another video, maybe. Unless you guys want to hear it. Not a great pitch. A pitch I'm confident about. Let's say it. Let's use those words. I'm confident for the Fantastic Four. I don't think I won't use the words great pitch because I'm not the one that should be judging that. But Fantastic Four for sure, and more space stuff in the serious tone of a Captain Marvel, not on the Guardians of the Galaxy tone kind of way. Bruno Freire says, I feel the Avengers will be put in the burner and have them focus their full attention on the brand new X-Men coming. That is if they use them anytime soon. I would think I would want the X-Men to be established as in a parallel universe, which I see people complaining that it would be too weird, but Doctor Strange already presented the concept of multiverse. So I would have the X-Men in the MCU, but within the MCU, I would have them on a completely different universe and only bring them in a future special occasion for a team-up film, like the Avengers were. But now it's going to be much bigger. Because I think it would get really crowded, and then we would have to wait more and more in between sequels and in between movies and their sequels. So we'd have X-Men, let's say in 2021, But then we have only X-Men 2, X-Men United, in 2026 or 2027. I might be dead by then. I don't want to wait that long. So maybe a different universe, maybe even a different division. I would keep them separate, but the possibility open for them to gather on special films in 3 years in between those team-ups. I don't think they're going to leave the concept of the Avengers on the back burner, because the Avengers people are already familiar with, and they're already something that really works. I don't think they're taking stupid chances with the Avengers. I think they're treating the Avengers very well. So just to make sure people don't get a sour taste for the Avengers in the future, so they'll be very carefully, as they have been. And same with the X-Men. I think they're going to, filmmakers and Kevin Feige, we need to trust Kevin Feige. Again, many of you are saying Captain Marvel is the first misstep for the MCU. So after 21 movies, having a first misstep, it's not a bad record on Kevin Feige. So I think he's earned our trust. Speaking for myself, he certainly has earned mine. So let's trust the man. Nicolas Cage says, love the sequence on the Air Force lady's farm. Reminded me of the best part of Ultron. The relationship was the only one I found genuinely touching in the film. It certainly was touching. I think the relationship with Nick Fury was great, but I wouldn't say touching, but I don't mean that it's bad by that. It's a really, really great scene. Now that you mention it, there is a certain warmth to farmhouse sequences. So, and that's actually the scene where they all come together, where they find out the truth about Talos and his plight, about saving his people. So it's really cool that we see that. Now that you mention it, there is a certain thing about farmhouse sequences that work. Maybe because they focus more on the drama than on the superheroing stuff, which is always great. Nicolas Cage says, I kind of hope Captain Marvel starts out as an obstacle for the Avengers. It's a misunderstanding. I shouldn't speculate so much, but I'm kind of a little worried. And you have all the right to be, man. The movie didn't work for you, so you have all the right to be worried. Again, I actually agree with you where I think there will be a, not misunderstanding, I think there will be a mistrust. Because at least I believe Carol will be distrusting of these people, because last time she was out, she was the only superhero in the universe, I think, or at least on Earth, and she trusted Nick Fury, and now Nick Fury is gone, her only friend, not counting Maria Rambeau. So I don't know. I like that adversity, that Captain Marvel will be not so friendly with the Avengers at first, but I also don't think they should waste a lot of time on that. And you have all the right to speculate. You should speculate. My only advice, if you allow me, is don't let that speculation dictate what is good or not about the film. Just when you go into watching Endgame, just look at the film and look at the story they tell you. Only that 3 hours supposedly context, and judge it on its own. But you have all the right to speculate, man. I speculate. We all here in the chat speculate. It's fun to speculate, especially about these films. So speculate at will, man. Just don't let the notion of doing something different that you expect dictate what you will like about the film. Again, there are so many things that in my head would not be good ideas for Endgame, for Star Wars, for future Marvel movies, for future DC films. And I have fun speculating about them. I just don't reject the idea that doing something that I, in concept, don't like wouldn't work when seeing the execution. Like the scene where Nick Fury gives the Avenger Initiative name. Ideally, the concept of it is good. The execution didn't work for me, though. So that's my advice, if I can give it. Okay. The post-credit scene was still hype as fuck. Sorry for swearing you too. It was. I really wasn't expecting the post-credit scene of Captain Marvel to be an endgame scene or a possible endgame scene. I was expecting to be an answer about where Carol was these past 24 years, because Ronan, before he goes away, because he's like, oh shit, she's gonna kill us, dude. Let's get the fuck out. Before he says that, he says he's going to come back. not for the planet, but for the woman that is standing there, because he wants whatever she's got, you know. That sounded so dirty. Whew. What was I going to say? Yes, the post-credit scene was incredible. And again, this is my color scheme liking part of my brain. Did anyone else notice that Carol's suit was already different? She has gold shoulder pads now, and it looks really good. Her hair is longer, and Brie Larson did look thinner. So this was probably a scene that they shot before starting training, even for Captain Marvel. Well, not training, because she was announced 4 years ago. So I think I don't know, honestly. Maybe it was the cameras they used. I don't know. Again, sick scene. And I honestly don't know if we're going to see it in Endgame. I expect it to be a scene in Endgame, but my voice just went so fucking high. Where was I? Newt says, I have one question regarding Marvel lore. Are all Krees blue? If so, then what's Jude Law's character and Mar-Vell? No, not all Krees are blue. Jude Law's character is a Kree. He's also not totally human looking in the comics. And I don't just mean the eyes. Korath is a Kree as well. And he was, well, black. But he looks totally human. So yeah, not all Krees are blue. They're just not the most creative looking. Mar-Vell is just a dude. He's a blonde dude who has the locks, almost locks, I guess, wavy hair. Let's call it that. And he dies of cancer in the comics, which was one of the most fucked up things when it came out in the 80s, early 80s. I need to check this. I'm sorry. The death of Captain Marvel. Goodreads. Tell me what year it came out. Because I'm doing it live on YouTube and I can't waste much time. Oh, okay, 1994. So it wasn't the 80s. It wasn't the early 87s, certainly. So yeah, Captain Marvel dies of cancer, which is very fucked up because he's a super powerful character. He's one of the most powerful characters, and he died of cancer. But yeah, not all Krees are blue. Some of them look like us, and others are blue. And they have something else. I don't think I'm remembering it wrong if I say some of them have like 4 arms, but I'm not sure about that. So don't quote me on that, on the 4 arms thing. But yeah. Nicolas Cage says, I can't be the only one whose mind briefly flashed Stick entering the frame when Nirvana's song from the Defenders trailer started playing. Oh yeah, the Defenders trailer had Come As You Are. You're very right. I didn't remember that. I'm sorry. I have something in my eye. I didn't remember that, but on Tuesday when I watch the film again, I'm certainly going to remember that. Dislike the third act the most, but I'll always appreciate its Dragon Ball-ness. Thank you. Thank you so much. I like the spectacle of the third act, but in terms of story, I'll totally agree with you. It's the weaker act, but I think the weakest element of the film, speaking of acts, is how weak the transitions were. The film had, okay, good pacing, good, solid pacing, nothing spectacular, nothing to be mad about. Good pacing throughout, especially in the first act. The first act was the best act for me. But then the transitioning in between acts just didn't work at all. That was the weakest part of the film for me, speaking of acts. If we're talking about first, second, third act as spectacle, and that's it. That's the one layer the third act has, and it's fun to see. Enjoy the weakest act when it comes to seeing the story and seeing the thematic nature of the film. But really the transitions was what bothered me the most. It really lacked some pacing. It felt like the film lost its every notion of pacing. It just really bothered me. But yes, the Dragon Ball-ness of it all is spectacular because it looks because Carol powers up so many times, and she goes from having her hair waving in the air, so she looks like she's gone Super Saiyan 2, but then she has the helmet and the mohawk, so it looks like her version of a Super Saiyan 3. I don't know, but my inner Dragon Ball fan just appreciated that the most. Francisco Quinta says, "Hi there, I'll probably write about Captain Marvel tomorrow. It was enjoyable at least." I'm glad you liked it, man. One more person that liked it. Very happy. Chandler's video says, "Don't listen to this man. He doesn't know anything about comics." Chandler, you know that Disney pays me to do this. You need to have below 100 views on 99% of my videos. So don't spread lies, man. Disney pays me, and I have all the money in the world. So I still don't have a proper studio with proper isolation for sound. That's why my sound in most of my videos, is because Disney pays me. Don't listen to this man, Chandler. Don't listen to him. Where am I? Okay, I lost you guys. Ooh, I lost you guys. I'm sorry. I have a lot of comments. Thank you guys. Wow. No, not it. Okay. Francisco Quinta says, "I probably don't like the film as much as you do, but the truth is that most people have enormous prejudice on going to watch these movies, especially due to Bree's comments, which were normal." Thank you. Someone read the actual comments and not just the headlines. Thank you, Francisco. You're one of the good people, which I'm sure most people, if not all the people here are. Francisco Quinta says, "Ben Mendelsohn was awesome. Didn't expect that twist at all. Me neither, man. And it really worked for the story, and I think it opens a whole lot more possibilities for future films in this context than it would if they stay true to the comics." We're 1 hour in, and we're going strong. Thank you guys so much. I don't think I've ever had such an active chat with so many people. Thank you. Where am I? Why did I? Okay, Chandler says, "For real though, the film was fine." I'm glad you liked it. I mean, I feel strongly about it, but that's great that you enjoyed it, Chandler. I'm very happy, man, because I know you weren't looking forward to this film at all, much like I wasn't. I wouldn't say at all. It's an MCU movie, so I have kind of some excitement about it. But the trailer didn't look good. The trailer didn't do Brie Larson any favors, despite how great of an actress she is in general. And she did a good job here. But yeah, everything about this film before going into it looked fine, and especially for someone who's such a big fan of the MCU, despite the few disappointments I've had. Really like this film. Don't think it's anything. It will. I mean, I don't want to say it's not going to be in my top 10 at the end of the year, but if it is, it's a sign that movies didn't get much better than this from now on, which I don't want that to happen. Francisco Quinta says, "The comment about immigration was very efficient." I don't remember the comment about immigration. Let me know what the comment was if anyone remembers it. Let me know in the chat below, because I don't remember the comment about immigration at all. I'm so sorry. Carlos Miguel Ugalde says, "La mesa," the table. Thank you. Nicolas Cage says, "Didn't think the movie was great, but I can never hate it because of a little girl, a few rows down, screaming, 'Yeah,' when she broke free from the intelligence computer strings thing." Dude, that is awesome. I wish I could have seen that. Nobody yelled or bursted out in excitement during my screening, but the intro, the Marvel intro, which I heard people saying they do something really special with the intro, and I was like, they're either going to do a 90s kind of retro thing with the intro, or they're going to have the dusted characters not appear or dusting as the logo comes on. And they do all Stan Lee bits, just his cameos in all the films. Oh my God. My friend was sitting next to me was even joking about it when the logo showed up. This is not the point of the story, I'll get to it. But as soon as the logo ends, we see all these Stan Lees coming. I was tearing up, not gonna lie. And my friend turns to me and he's like, how am I supposed to rate the movie now? That was so good. Which is true. Even if you wanted to hate this film, spectacular intro, and then they have the thank you stand. I couldn't hold myself, so when the thank you stand came on, I was like, woo! Really loudly, and everyone started clapping and applauding to the film, which was so great, man. Carlos Miguel Ugalde says, I saw last night on bootleg. Ah, man, that's not cool for the filmmakers and the people who worked hard on this. But I mean, we all got money problems, so I can't blame you there. I've done it before, but it doesn't even look good right now because all the torrents and are people shooting the film, looking at the screen. So it's not even a true digital copy. So, but again, I can't judge. I've done it before, and I know going to the theater isn't cheap nowadays. Francisco Quinta says, I wish Jude Law wasn't in the movie. Perfectly understand the purpose, but if Yara wasn't a part in this installment, the Hala civilization could be explored. Maybe. I think the best use for him, she needed a mentor character, and I think what we have of Yon-Rogg is really good. But it needed to be in the movie more. Maybe not the whole team, even though Minerva herself is pretty underused. But I wanted more of him, and he certainly had a place in the film. If we had Yon-Rogg, Yon-Rogg could have been placed somewhere in the film. Restructuring the film, he could have been there more. Francisco Quinta says, I got underwhelmed when I didn't get to know the technology which the Kree population lived in. That's one of the underwhelming things for sure, man. For sure, because we only get quick shots. Carlos Miguel Ugalde says, I still don't understand why the Kree are bad guys, because they're just killing people. They're just killing, specifically Skrulls, all around the galaxy who are doing nothing wrong. And then they're killing one of their own to get the Tesseract, which was why most bad guys early in the MCU were doing bad things, because they were trying to get the Infinity Stones, or one Infinity Stone, one at a time at least, at any cost. And they even killed one of their own who was trying to save people who were innocent. That's why they're the bad guys. Compared to other Marvel offers, Captain Marvel doesn't have a development of the alien planet of the main character at all. Okay, I'm not sure if you mean of the alien planet, and if you meant or the main character and you meant both. I disagree on the main character. There is development there. I saw it. But the alien planet, I certainly agree. They're like, here's a planet, it looks cool. Here's things within the planet, like the Supreme Intelligence and how we communicate with it, and then they're out of there. So I was certainly underwhelmed by that. Carlos Miguel Ugalde says, this looks like a movie that would have come out in 2010. Well, looking at the cam, I probably would feel that way too. There's certainly weak CGI in this film. Don't get me wrong. I've been praising the CGI on Nick Fury, CGI on Coulson. There is weak CGI in this film for sure, especially in the last act. There's a moment with Carol. She doesn't have her helmet. Her helmet on is still. I can't remember what it is specifically, but there is a shot of her where you can just see it's not her, and it's a digital recreation of Brie Larson. Nicholas Cage says, gotta go. Great to chat with you as well. Thank you so much, man. He probably wrote this about, I don't know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes ago, so you're already out. But thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Have a fun time talking with you, and see you on the next one. Francisco Quinta says, I think this movie is a satisfying entry for this character, and definitely want to see what Brie is going to do in Endgame. I perfectly agree with that statement, man. Perfectly. It describes exactly how I feel about the film. Satisfying entry, solid film. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's good. Francisco Quinta says, Kevin Feige said in the future MCU is going to have more women than men. I don't understand how male moviegoers feel threatened by this choice. I definitely want that. I got honestly scared with the possibility of Brie Larson and Captain Marvel being both feminazi. Fortunately, the internet took everything about what she said out of context. I was relieved. That's the internet, folks. Honestly, I don't care if they have more women or more men. if they're good characters, they're welcome in my book. So if I just don't want. Look, I don't think it's wrong to have a movie with just men. I don't think it's wrong with having a movie of just women. I think men and women have equal rights to have a movie just with the one sex. So what really bothers me is when people are, hey, we're going to do this all with women. Aren't we great? No, if the movie sucks, like Ocean's 11, if you do a movie about the Expendables, you don't brag about being just men. It's a movie, and they're action stars. And the first movie was okay. The second movie was really great. The third movie was fine. Was fine. And then Ocean's 8 sucked. I really don't care if you're a man or a woman. I want to see good characters. I want to see a good film. I want to see a good story told well. Because there are films that tell a sucky story well, and there are films that suck at telling a good story. So again, if they're bringing more women than men, cool by me, as long as they're good characters and they're telling good stories, man. And again, about the internet taking her comments out of context. If anyone is still mad about her comments, go and actually read her comments, and I think like Francisco. That's a really good idea about X-Men. Okay, hang on. Where am I? Hang on, I lost you guys. I lost you guys, I'm so sorry. Ooh, okay. Okay, James Starbucks says that's a really good idea about the X-Men run, thank you. I think it helps at getting films faster, and I think it helps in managing characters that are in each universe and not having things overcrowded. Because certainly in the comics it doesn't feel that way, but I think in a movie context it would feel that way, especially because even at this moment they're already all from New York, most of them at least. Ant-Man is from San Francisco, but 90% of the heroes are from New York. Skull Queen says, hello, Ren. Hello, welcome to the chat. Brian BB says, I don't understand why the cat was in the movie at all. Because he needs to eat the Tesseract, and he was Carol's cat, which is not a cat at all. And yeah, that's it. Considering taking Daniel to see the movie next week, well, take him. I hope he likes it. I think, I'm no one to say which films you should take your kids to or not, but I certainly think it's appropriate for kids. But again, who am I to say that? Bruno Freire says, I want Storm to have her own origin film, same with Wolverine. I don't know. It's hard for me to... The thing about X-Men was that I always liked them as a collective group. But even Wolverine, who is in my top 10 favorite comic book characters of all time, I don't get that much into his solo adventures. But I mean, it could work. I wasn't excited about an Ant-Man film, and the film is really good. So it can work. I'm open to. I'll be there first day. James Starbucks says, I agree about Wolverine, Bruno, seeing as it's a new Wolverine we'll be getting. Don't know how I feel about that. I mean, choose a good actor, make a good film, have a good version of Wolverine, and I think we'll be fine. Though Hugh Jackman will always be the definitive Wolverine, much like Heath Ledger will always be the definitive version of the Joker. They can both, there can be several good versions, we'll always have a favorite. And I'm sure if it's a good Wolverine, many people will prefer the new Wolverine. Francisco Quinto says, Youth is cut. I think you meant cute. I'm going to assume you meant cute. I mean, all the theater and me were laughing at Sam Jackson in all their scenes. In the end, however, not relating to the eye thing, the majority of the jokes felt repetitive. I'm not disagreeing. I'm not agreeing either. I need to see the film again. Because I think there was really good humor. But again, can't agree, but can't disagree either. I really need to watch the film again and see how I feel about the jokes with Sam Jackson and Goose. James Starbuck says, "Can we just take a moment to appreciate that Stan Lee tribute at the start?" I know. Oh, that's. Ooh. I started the movie on a high in terms of emotions. It certainly wasn't the film that took me to that high. It was the intro, but man, oh man, that was awesome. The moment it just suddenly it was out of me. I was like, woo! And the whole theater started clapping. It was an awesome moment. I think I'm going to watch the film again just for that. Francisco Quinta says, there were a variety of chances of developing Ronan and Jaimin Hals's character, whose name I don't remember, Korath. Yeah, that was a missed opportunity. I don't see, unless you change it and have Ronan on the team, I don't think what chances there were, but I do agree that they weren't developed at all in this film. Ronan was in 2 scenes to say hello to the nerds, which I am a part of. And again, yeah. Hang on. Okay. Where was I? Yes, I agree that they were not developed at all. James Starbuck says that my screening people cheered and applauded for the Stan Lee intro. Same with my. Francisco says it's very obviously actually when Talos and Carol get to see all those hidden scrolls. I immediately knew where they were going. Hidden scrolls. Talos saying I just on a home and reporting all the bad things Kree done. I've been doing. I just got the Trump. Oh yeah, okay. I get to, I'm seeing it. I see now what you mean. It's very obvious actually when Talos got to see the hidden scrolls on the ship, and then immediately knew where they were going. Someone reporting all the bad things the Kree always have been doing. I just got a Trump wall and Mexican immigrants in my mind. It was very fair. That's true, man. I'm going to watch the movie again, and I'm certainly going to try and see that, but I certainly see where you're going. Filhos to Christian Photos, I don't know what that means. Stop giving a spoiler. Well, it says spoiler in the title, man, so I hated the movie. Sorry you feel that way. I mean, treating foreign races as savages, just replacing Trump's words with Bjorn Rao's mouth. I really like that and didn't expect that. Now that you mention it, it's really hitting home, man. This movie is for nerds. That's very true. It is. And we're very happy that it is. Because we're nerds. Sorry. Carlos Miguel Ugalde, I hope they don't make her kill Thanos. I don't think they will. In fact, I don't think Thanos will be killed by one person at all. I think it's going to be a collective team up, like hitting him at the same time. And yeah, I don't think Captain Marvel, Thor, Star-Lord, Iron Man, I don't think it will be one person to kill Thanos. In fact, I'm leaning more towards the theory that Thanos dies early on in the film, and we're probably going to get a surprise big bad, because one of the things that's really working for Endgame, and I'm saying this before I see the film, is really that when we see the trailers that have come out, like the what is it? What am I thinking of? The first trailer at the Super Bowl spot, we're kind of seeing that thing where the situation, the environment that they're living in, that's the enemy, not necessarily Thanos. So I'm really feeling a surprise is coming in many different ways when it comes to Endgame. Okay. Francisco says, compared to Black Panther and even Ragnarok, Captain Marvel should have explored the civilization. Just that. I hope to get that in the sequel. I certainly think there's There's a chance for that, for sure, but it really depends on where she was. Because, for instance, I imagine that at some point she is arrested, and that's why she was gone from Earth for 24 years. But it really depends where she was and what she was doing that we get to see that. But if she has to spend the entire movie in space or on an alien civilization, so there is a very big chance at exploring a new, completely different world in the sequel if we go mid-quel with Captain Marvel 2. Let me just put my charger on my computer. I'm sorry. And Francisco Quinta says, I have yet to watch Ocean's 8 and the 2016 Ghostbusters. I don't like Ocean's 8. I think it's a bad movie. Nothing completely horrible. It was not on my top 10 worst movies of the year or anything. 2016 Ghostbusters, I didn't like. But again, don't think it's absolutely atrocious or the worst movie I've ever seen. Nothing like that. It's bad. But I am one of the few people on Earth, maybe even very possibly the only person on Earth, who doesn't like any of the Ghostbusters. So again, take that as you will. You might dislike the film a whole lot more than I did, because I'm not a fan of any of the Ghostbusters. So maybe don't take a chance on that one. I don't know. I mean, watch any movies you want. Hang on, where was I? Okay. Sandro says, just drop right by to say hi, bro. Hello, thank you so much for saying hi. You're probably not here anymore, which I'm so sorry for, but thank you for coming in to say hi. João Magalhães is here, says, hey, mate. Hello, welcome. We're very in the thick of it, so bring all your thoughts into the chat. Bruno Freire says, great live event. Thank you for answering all my questions. Peace. Thank you so much for being here, Bruno. It really means a lot to me. This chat has just been spectacular, guys. So again, thank you so much for everyone who is and who has been here. It's probably the most active chat I've had in my history of doing live events, which only started last year. James Starbucks says, Heath Ledger definitive Joker. Mark Hamill would like a word with you, bro. Oh, shit. Hang on. Sorry, James. Sandro, don't stay here. You haven't seen the movie. You can't watch this. I'm spoiling everything. We're spoiling everything. So don't stay here. I don't want you to be spoiled for the film. Watch the film first. I don't want to ruin it for you. There is one major... There are 2 or 3 major spoilers, but there could have been 0 major spoilers. I don't want you to see this video if you haven't watched the film. Because I hate spoiling people. I don't want to be spoiled myself, so I hate spoiling people. So James says, Mark Hamill will like a word with me, bro. I don't count voice acting. I'm sorry. He is phenomenal as Joker. And many other people have voiced Joker in animated films. Mark Hamill is the definitive voice of the Joker. But you can only have one defining role, and Heath Ledger is the definitive Joker. Mark Hamill is, of course, the definitive Luke Skywalker. But I know what you went. I know why you went there, James, and I can't exactly disagree. João Magalhães says, I'm kind of disappointed that both MCU films that came after Infinity War were my least favorite of the MCU, because you're a hater. I'm kidding. I had fun with both Ant-Man and Captain, but I couldn't shake the sensation of filler. I liked Ant-Man and the Wasp as well. It's on the lower tier as well of the MCU for me. There was an element of filler to that one, I'll agree. Because during the entire film, you're wondering where it takes place in the timeline of the MCU and how far from Infinity War it is. And then on post-credit scene, we find out. But I don't feel that with Captain Marvel. On that one, I gotta disagree. Again, don't think it's spectacular or great or top-tier MCU film. Doesn't come close to that. But didn't feel filler with Captain Marvel personally. But I agree on Ant-Man and the Wasp. Francisco says, Jeremy John stated one clever fact. Captain Marvel should have yet to earn the right to kill Thanos. Since this character needs more opportunities to grow, I totally agree with this. I would agree as well, but I wouldn't give the right to. Okay, I just read a question down below, also from Francisco, so I'll get to that. Again, I don't. It bothers me seeing someone has the right to kill, even in this context, because it's a character. So the story demands who has the right to kill. So only seeing Endgame, I will know. But again, I don't think, no matter how well the developer look at this point after watching Captain Marvel. After watching Captain Marvel, she could be the best character in the MCU. I still think she alone should kill Thanos. Cap. Let's look at Captain America, the true captain of this universe, by the way. He's the best character out of all the MCU. He shouldn't kill Thanos by himself. Again, I think it should be a collective thing, like several people, like 10 at least, Avengers hitting Thanos with all they got at the same time. I just fucking hurt my hand. Jesus. They should hit Thanos at the same time, and this massive blast just throws him away. Like a moment straight out of the comics where several people from several different angles are surrounding him, and someone shoots him, and someone throws thunder at him, and a laser blast, and all these beams of energy hit him, and he's disintegrated. Like a collective thing. That's why Captain America is finally saying, Avengers Assemble, and that's going to be the newly crowned greatest moment in cinema history. So I have my expectations as well. Not that that is going to hurt the film. It does if it doesn't happen. But I think we're all going into the film saying Captain America needs to finally say Avengers Assemble. Okay, where am I? Okay, Sandra says I'm here, although I haven't seen the movie yet. Okay, says no problem. Okay, man. Thank you for being here. Then it means a lot to me. Francisco Quinter says, "Well, this is a comment I read earlier on." Okay, well, I'll say it. We all know you like to swear, especially in the top 10 worst of the year. I always want to hear you swearing in Portuguese. Our swear words are much more beautiful. For this, hang on, that sounded really weird. For this is a swear word. Caralho is the best one. We all know caralho is the best one. And fuck the filhos da puta machistas que estão a fazer boicote ao filme. I hope that works. It feels really weird hearing myself transitioning from English to Portuguese and vice versa. Newt says, I don't think Feige and the Russos will make it easy for Carol to defeat Thanos. There will be some kind of obstacle for sure, right? I was actually mentioning that earlier on. And Nicolas Cage actually brought something really that sounds like a good idea, at least, which is that Carol and the Avengers don't get along at first. There's a lot of distrust there, and there'll both be obstacles in each other's way. But again, with what we've been given, at least in the most part, throughout the MCU, and especially with the Russos that have been challenging themselves with each film they make, I'm expecting a lot of surprises. And again, I don't expect an easy journey for these characters. One of the weaker aspects of Captain Marvel, I think there was development there. I think she evolved as a character. I think she grew throughout the film. But there wasn't a lot of, how should I put it? There wasn't the journey didn't feel as hard as it could have been. I think it could have been a journey that felt harder. I think she was hit by the emotions as she discovered herself, but I think that could have been like a bigger punch to that, like a really kick in the gut, like she found out something awful about herself. But the Russos definitely do that in all their movies up until now in the MCU. So I think they'll certainly give us that. And again, at least on my end, they have earned my trust, and so has Kevin Feige. And even when they pick up someone else's characters, they do a fantastic job. Look at what they did with Guardians. Look at what they did with freaking Captain America. From the first Avengers to Winter Soldier to Civil War to Infinity War. Hell. So I think we can expect many special things. Nothing specific, because I honestly am very eager to see this film because I have no idea the directions it's going into. Sandro, swearing in Norteño is the best. And Sandro says, like, caralho, let's teach the US and UK audience. Actually, João is Portuguese. He's actually also here in the UK in Southampton, because there is a Northampton. I have a friend there, but João is in Southampton. Correct me if I'm wrong, João. And Francisco says, let's teach the US and UK audience. I think we're all Portuguese now here, because the US people have left. And I don't know if I have any people of the UK here today. James Starbucks says, I gotta go now, guys, as I have work in the morning. Great to see this chat so busy and renting care of yourself. Thanks for being here, James. Thank you so much. And thank you for the questions and for participating. João says, I was very happy with the box office, almost 5 million worldwide. I think that the future Marvel will be set in space. I'll say this. First, let's address the box office. I didn't see the worldwide, but that's great to see that it's made already 5 million. I saw the box office, the domestic box office in the US. It's made 153 million. I saw the stats. It's like the biggest opening in the month of March ever. It's the what is it? It's the 6th biggest opening of all time, or something like that. Or it's the 6th superhero. No, it's the 6th biggest opening weekend of all time, and it's the 2nd biggest superhero opening, I think. I might be wrong. Go check out Scott Mance's tweet. He has the box office stats there. And this is amazing because unlike Black Panther, unlike Spider-Man and Spider-Man Homecoming, this is a character we have never met before. This character was not introduced in any MCU movie prior. So, like, look at what Ant-Man did in its opening weekend. Look at what Doctor Strange did in its opening weekend. And look at what now Captain Marvel does. A character we have never met before. We nerds have met her. We knew what the symbol was on the post-credit scene of Infinity War. But let's remember, we nerds don't make the cachet for these films. The general audience does. And the general audience, when they saw that symbol at the end of Infinity War on the page, they were like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know. I had 2 girls who asked me what that meant because I was really excited on my 2nd screening of Infinity War. So let's all put in mind that this character was not familiar to almost anyone who sees these films. So making this much money is a tremendous feat. Let's address the second part. If I think the future of Marvel will be set in space, I'll say this. So let's say Marvel right now, they do 3 movies a year. Okay, so this year, Captain Marvel, Endgame, and Spider-Man Homecoming. Let's say they continue with 3 movies a year. I would expect, let's say, 2 out of those 3 movies to be set in space. So let's say we have 4 characters in the next phase, whatever. We have not a specific character. Let's say we have 4 characters and we have 4 movie series interconnected until we get to the next big event film. I certainly expect like the majority of those films to be set in space and like one of them on Earth. But I'm expecting for us to go more into space than we've gone thus far. So we'll get one character that we relate to the most and that is more familiar to us, and that one will be set on Earth. But like Guardians, the next Guardians, and the next Captain Marvel, those are already 2 I'm certain will be set in space. And now they're already working on the Eternals film. That I assure you, that is 100% not on Earth. So that will also be in space. Ooh, my voice is going. It's 10:30. Okay, we're gonna end this in a bit. Francisco says, "Thank you, Sensei. I assume for the swearing, You're very welcome, foda-se, because I see that foda-se is the most beautiful word in Portuguese language. If you think about it, it can be used to express any emotion, and curiously, it's the most wrongly written in the web. Uh, Joel says, or do you think that after Guardian situation, we'll explore some sort of change? Well, even before the whole James Gunn being fired thing, he did say that Guardians on the third one, the team was going to change. So I expect the change in the team to be kind of a soft reboot, and then we continue with the Guardians series, but we won't call it Volume 4 or anything. It'll be Guardians of the Galaxy, or maybe they'll just change it to Guardians, or New Guardians of the Galaxy. That sounds terrible. Wow, no, I would never name anything new something. Maybe just continue with Guardians of the Galaxy or the Guardians of the Galaxy, because now studios, producers like to put the D to differentiate, which works. I'm not going to say it doesn't. But I expect the Guardians to continue, but with a different team. I would personally like to see Captain Marvel and the Guardians crossover in the film. I love that in the comics, especially with Rocket wanting to kill her cat. That is one of the best running gags about Rocket, man. I love Rocket in the comics wanting to kill the Flerken. Because again, it's not a cat, it's a Flerken, and that's why the eye scratching doesn't bother me. But it's one of the best bits. But what I really want to see is a freaking Nova movie. Nova is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I don't remember the specific run, but when I end this, I'm going to search the specific run that I love of Nova, and I'm going to post it on Twitter. So you guys, Francisco, João, anyone else who's here, Newt, if you guys follow me on Twitter, check the run of Nova that I'm going to recommend. I'm going to tag you guys. Of Richard Rider, not Sam Alexander. Richard Rider, the original Nova. Spectacular run. He runs into Captain Marvel. He runs into Quasar. He runs into several Kree people, Skrulls. He runs into the Guardians of the Galaxy. He has a lot of team-ups with with Adam Warlock and the original Marvel and the Guardians of the Galaxy as well to fight Thanos. Just an excellent run of a very underrated comic book character. So I want to see a Richard Rider film. And I just lost my breath there for a second. Okay, the food is also not Cabral. Cabral isn't really a swear word, is it? I don't know. I don't know if it is. Francisco says, when can we get to talk about Hellboy before it's released? Can you make another live talk before April 12th? I'm really excited, even though expecting that to be another bad Lionsgate offer. I don't know. I am going to do 2 collab reviews reviewing the original 2 Hellboy films from Guillermo del Toro. I already got the fellow reviewers who I'm going to do that with. One is going to be... Who's it going to be? Why am I blanking on it? Okay, one of them is going to be Daniel from Half Cocked, and another one is going to be Patrick Borrow. And yeah, I'm going to do a review for both of those. Maybe I'll do a live event, just a random Q&A, and we can talk Hellboy all you want. I'm certainly excited. Didn't see the last trailer, only saw the first one, because you guys know me. I only watch first trailers now, and I've been very happy about it. And I don't know, maybe. I certainly am excited for the new Hellboy. And YouTube just tried to put Francisco's comment out, but I chose to show it. Ryan says, in interviews, Ryan always seemed bored out of his mind compared to the good humorous lady aside him. It's hard to judge people on interviews. I always take a step back and try to judge them, whether they seem very nice or very, very bored or loopy-eyed, because these interviews which you've seen on YouTube, which I'm sure they're all from the same, like when Collider goes to interview them or any other outlet, these people wake up at 4 a.m. to get makeup on, and then they have to sit on a press junket talking to several people 4 minutes with each. So maybe Ryan didn't have enough coffee. I remember it was Comic-Con Portugal 2017. I went to interview several people. One of them, Clark Gregg, Phil Coulson. Another one was a girl who's now in Arrow, who's in Shadowhunters, Catherine McNamara. And they were super nice, both of them. And another person was Dominic Purcell, who plays Heatwave. He plays Mick Rory in Legends of Tomorrow. And the guy was he was super nice, but you could see he was hesitant because he was there sitting like this. And he was very mellow and talked really slowly. He was nice, but he wasn't as warm, let's say, as the other. But the dude had been out drinking until like 3 a.m. Like, his choice. He knew he was coming into the next morning, but still, it's not like he wasn't bored, but he wasn't energetic either. So it's hard to say that the guy seems bored out. But again, it's not that you are wrong. Maybe he was, but it's very, very hard to judge on these conditions when these people constantly have cameras on them, and we all have a bad day. If they were the right choice, well, in my opinion, they made a good film. So yeah, they were the right choices. I mean, who would be better? Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, Christopher freaking Nolan, Damien Chazelle, Denis Villeneuve. Those would be better choices because I think they're better directors in general. But at the end of the day, if I think director X made a good film, I'm going to say yes, him or her were the right choices. He or she, rather. But I certainly did. Not that I've watched many. I've watched the Collider interviews, but I certainly noticed spunky than him. Where are we? Okay, maybe Marvel should have chosen other directors, especially in regards to the action scenes and the cinematography, which are both bland and unrecognizable. I agree on the action scenes. We certainly could have used something else. I don't know who I would have chosen, though. I don't know. I have to think about it. There are certainly, but I like the thing that Marvel does. They're like, it's almost a model for them now. Looking back at things, that they pick these indie directors and then they bring them onto the spotlight here. Scott Derrickson would have been cool, but I don't just want to bring Scott Derrickson over from Doctor Strange. I want to think about other indie directors, but no one is popping into mind, unfortunately. Especially for this space-like adventure. The cinematography was pretty bland. I mean, nothing looked wrong, let's say, but nothing really popped out. It looked, oh, this looks good, that looks good, this looks good, but nothing really looks like, oh, this is one of the best-looking MCU movies ever. Apart from her suit. I mean, everyone's suit. And the makeup for Ben Mendelsohn's Skrull character, Talos, not Talos, as they say in the film, Talos. Newt says, you know me, I'm the biggest non-comic book reader fan of Nova. You should be. And read this run. It's so good. It's so freaking good. I'm disappointed. It says Captain Marvel cinematography was Ben Davis, 3 Billboards, and Doctor Strange. Wow. 2 great-looking films. I gotta say, let's give him a pass on this one, because last year, the cinematography for A Star is Born, which looked amazing, was also the same person who shot Venom. Yeah. So let's give the guy a break. It was one bad day at the office. Francisco Cabral is equal to motherfucker, basically. I don't know. I think motherfucker is filho da puta. I don't know. Rewind Replays here. Hello, man. Thank you so much for being here. It's very early for you, I'm going to guess, in Australia. I don't know. But we have someone from Australia now in the chat, guys. João says, what? No, cabrón is equivalent to bitch. I would agree more to that. I still don't know if it's the right comparison, but I'd agree it's closer to bitch than motherfucker. João says, one thing that bothered me, I don't know if you guys already discussed it, but how did the Kree get the Tesseract? In the first Avengers Fury tells Cap Tony's dad found it. That's me and one of my friends that we watched the movie with were kind of discussing it. I didn't remember that line at all. Okay, and Steve says he should have left it in the ocean. This made me think that the Tesseract was always either with Howard or S.H.I.E.L.D. So the Marvel got it, or did they give it to her and just forgot about this plot point? I mean, they didn't forget because they didn't create this plot point until now. Thing is, I watched a quick video from Mr. Sunday Movies. I'm sure some of you guys know him. He made a quick video about the timeline of the Tesseract. So Captain America, so Red Skull gets transported into, now we know, Vormir. The Tesseract falls. It melts the steel of the ship, falls on the ocean. Then we know Howard Stark found it. And from then on, he found it after the war, or at least after Captain America fell. So then somehow it got into Marvel, and then it got into her ship. So I don't know. It might be a plot hole. It might very well be a big plot hole. So we'll have to wait and see. I just think they shouldn't worry with these types of things, like to over-explain it. But now we need to know our answers, because it might very well be a gigantic Infinity Gauntlet-sized plot hole, and I have no idea. But it did feel weird to me. Once I saw the Tesseract, at first I was like, oh shit, it's a Tesseract, that's really cool, and it even makes sense because it's happening before. So the Infinity Stones storyline continuously makes sense, but I can't, in the back burner of my mind, I was like, wait, does this make sense timeline-wise? Where was it before, and how is it here now? Blah, blah. And that's why I actually like the last post-credit scene where Goose speeds it up, because, again, Flerkens are beings that host entire universes within them, so if he swallows the Tesseract, where the fuck is the Tesseract now if he doesn't spit it out? So I was glad to see Goose spit the Tesseract out in the post-credit scene. And I think we've hit it all, guys. This was a tiring session. Wow. Whew. Hang on. All right. Okay. I think we're done here. I need to drink some water. I haven't drank water in an hour and 45 minutes. So let's see how many people are in the chat still. Okay, so we have 5 people watching. So I'm assuming one of them is me, because I'm seeing if everything is all right in the chat. Newt, João, Francisco, and Rewind if you're still here. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here, for you guys here right now and the people who already left. Everyone, thank you so much for making this biggest, most interactive chat I've had so far. I have so much fun doing these, and I love bringing these live Q&As to being kind of my new spoiler reviews. Because instead of just saying something to the camera and then having to edit it again, I can just talk to you guys about the films that come out and that I want to talk spoilers about. Okay, we have one more comment. I can imagine all the Avengers brutally hitting Thanos at the same time, but since all the surprise we got in 2018, the MCU will probably surprise even more, but expectations aside. I don't expect them to brutally hit Thanos, because we need to feel some sympathy for them, so we don't need them, nor do we want them to be brutal or vicious about it. We want that to be a moment of justice, of putting things right into the back place, not of something. The level of vindictiveness shouldn't outweigh the level of justice when they hit Thanos. But thank you guys so much. Thank you, Francisco. Thank you, João. Thank you, Newt. Thank you, Rewind. Thank you, Ryan O'Toole. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sandro. Thank you, Nicolas Cage. I'm sure I'm forgetting people. Thank you so much, guys. You're the best. Love doing these. Can't wait for the next big movie that justifies something like this, which is going to be Shazam, because it comes out the week before, hopefully. I think so. April 5th. Yes. So the next one will be Shazam. So Captain Marvel again, I guess, if you still want to call him Captain Marvel. Thank you so much for watching, for being here, for all your questions. And I'll see you in the next review, which is not coming this week because there's nothing coming out in the UK this week, unfortunately. So I'll probably only see you on my review of Us next week. But I'll try to upload something this week because it sucks when I have nothing to upload because I want to upload something, but at the same time, I don't have anything. So I'll try to think of something. If anything, we'll probably do another live chat next Sunday. So thanks so much. If you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and click the bell so you can be geeky. United!